Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Let's Design Diablo. This is episode 6, in which I'm still struggling with the shape of the bottom bar and the use of rock textures in that area to define what the bottom bar will look like, especially in its background. We also have potentially some new viewers because I just posted on Reddit today, actually, and there's been a nice response, and I'm really enjoying talking with everyone about this. Okay, so here we are in the design, and as you can see, we are picking up where we left off. On the bottom right-hand side of the bar, you can see that it's somewhat fleshed out. We're not sure what's happening on the left yet, but at least on the right, we can see that there is some texture there. And where we left off, we're in a bit of a slump in terms of what happens next, but we're just going to work through it. I mean, that's the reality of a challenging project like this, is that you're going to hit some bumps in the road, and not every day is going to be super productive. But again, I really want to show everything. This is not, it's not obvious what it should look like, and really my process is just sort of stumbling into good ideas, and I don't know if that's how the professionals do it, but that's how I've always done it when I was a designer way back when, and in this case as well. So we're just sort of waiting for inspiration here. Okay, I'm picking through some images that, again, I took on vacation. This is an interesting one that we're going to try to use. It's, I think, not even rock, just wood or something like that. Petrified wood or something that I saw on a hike while I was on vacation for Thanksgiving. It's got some really nice characteristics to it that hopefully we can use, and it's just a matter of finding out how and where they fit in to the background. It's really again, sort of a guessing game. You just see something, you try it, doesn't work, you move on. If it does work, great. You build on it. Nothing in this design yet is at all final or looking perfect or even good necessarily, but Blizzard always harps on about their process of iterating, but there really is how I think great games and great, I don't know, designs or whatever else is made. You're not going to commit to you're not going to find the perfect thing right away. You really have to go back and forth until you get there. So there's it's just helpful to be a bit, I don't know, realistic about the fact that it's a highly subjective process, and even if you are perfectly satisfied with it, a lot of people are just not going to be. So we're just having fun, and we're seeing where it goes. So we're working on trying to get this texture somehow integrated into the design, and a lot of that is masking. Just about every layer you'll see on the palette there has a mask. That's that second rectangle. The rectangle on the left is the pixels, the actual color that makes up the what is on the layer, and then the mask is the rectangle to the right of it, which tells Photoshop what to show and what not to show on that layer. So a lot of the times we're not erasing from, and this is pretty basic, so probably a lot of people know this, but we're not erasing from the layer itself. We're subtracting or adding to a mask. So it's not bad. We have a texture here that's it's working okay. It has a bluish hue to it, which kind of fits with the blue of the mana globe area. But I don't know. It to me feels a little bit. It's not yet where we want it. So we're playing with some blending layers, see how we can combine the textures that are already there into something that may work. Not really sure where that blue is coming from. I think there's a layer on top that I was using a while back to create a bluish hue over something, that making it look more like it belongs on that mana globe side. But Yeah, but whether or not we want to continue to use that is an open question. And for those of you who have seen like where the design is versus where it is here, these videos are I don't know, maybe a week or so behind, and I'm trying my hardest to catch up. But doing these is a little bit of work in itself, so it's tough to fit in. But I'll continue to do it where I can. Because watching the stream, first of all, is at a very inconvenient time, and second of all, it can be kind of boring. I think things don't happen as quickly as maybe we would expect. So I'm hoping that these condensed videos, this is being played at 250% speed. I'm hoping these are a little bit more interesting and getting a window into the process, and also for me, frankly, to see where I've come from, where I'm going. There's some good ideas that just get lost in the mix that I see like emerge in a video like this, and then lost. And so in the current design, so it helps me remember what to come back to that did work in the past. But anyway, this is really a huge struggle, because what we're trying to do is take something highly a photograph. So yeah, highly photorealistic, and make it look like it belongs in a game as part of an interface. So colors way off. There has to a lot of work that has to go into that. Like where these cracks happen is really important. What I'm trying to do here is make it so that the cracks form the shape of the bottom bar. It looks decent, I think, on the right. Not far from perfect, but decent. And we're just trying to do something similar on the left. It's not harder than it may seem. Like this, I thought was going to work, just cutting out this part of it. But once you get rid of it, it's just like, nah. You sort of need some more texture to the left of where you want that line to be. And we'll see in a minute something that I think does work quite a bit better. So I think in my mind, I'm just feeling a little bit as though this isn't working, but pushing through it, whatever. It's none of this is life or death, so it's not working. Just throw it out, try something else. Eventually, you'll hit on something that works. So just working with brightness and contrast and levels and blah 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 to try and get it looking like it fits in. And it does have a bit of a red hue, which in a sense is cool, again, just like we saw on the Mana Globe side, but it's not quite right. So yeah, just moving it around and finding, like, even though these cracks look neat, they're not one of them yet has jumped out at me as working for providing that edge between the interface and the left or right side. So yeah, I mean, I wasn't really feeling like that was working out that well, so I moved on to something else. I did a little bit of a shadow there, you saw for a minute. And it's really just all about that, not getting too bogged down in any one thing, because really, the chances of any one thing ever really working that well, especially before you have a sense for what the whole design looks like, is really very small. I think, like, even maybe the strongest part of the whole design right now are the globes themselves, I guess. And I think even though there's been a lot of talk so far, and I'm super encouraged actually about how much talk there has been about the angel and the demon, and a lot of that has been critical, and I'm really, well, of course, 100% fine with that. I totally agree that neither one of them are exactly right, but just the fact that I think that they look nice. I mean, in the sense that they fit the space that they're in. I don't think they carry exactly the right tone of this gothic kind of return to a kind of a creepy, get under your skin gothic kind of feel. But it's a good start, and we'll probably reassess those at another time. But now that we have their space, well, the way it is now is not, I think, where we're going to end up in terms of exactly how they fit. But now that we know where they go, in the future when we replace them, we'll have a spot for them. But anyway, so still just kind of stuck in the mud with this background texture. So moving it, keeping the mask where it is. When the layers palette comes up, you'll see that there's a little link sometimes and sometimes not. Most times, yes, between the layer itself and the mask, those two rectangles. And if that link is there, when you move them, they move together. So it's kind of what you expect when you move something. When you unlink them and then and then select just the layer, not the mask, the layer moves, but the mask stays where it is. So that's what we're doing a lot of times here, to try and find like different textures in the rock that work without changing like the position of that whole, without changing the position of basically where the rock is being shown. It's still seeing it in the same place, just we're changing the part of the image that's showing. Decided to make it just overall smaller there. I thought maybe the features are just too large. Maybe we need to pack more into a smaller space. Sometimes that works. I don't think it worked particularly well here, but sometimes it works. I'm always messing around with this Diablo logo because it's a neat kind of, it's a neat, some of the effects going on in the logo are neat. And not the biggest fan of the logo itself. That's a conversation to itself, but I do really like a lot of what's happening in it. So that's providing a nice border for the top area, and to do that, we're basically just using the blending layers. And blending layers are just layers, I don't even know how they work, but I change the blending layer and sometimes it looks good, so we'll go with it. It just changes the way the layer interacts with the layers underneath it. More of the same. So what we're kind of coming to is what's ending up to be sort of a V shape for the bottom bar. And I didn't really think that that's what it would end up being, but that's what it's looking like here. And I like it. I mean, it's a little bit symmetrical, but not overly symmetrical. Both sides have that kind of V shape, at least a hint of it. But the textures themselves are different. So, symmetry is good to an extent. We don't want to just copy the same texture from one side to another. That looks super lazy. And you will see that in a lot of really highly produced games. You'll see a lot of textures reused. And that just ruins it for me, at least from an artistic standpoint. I think that we can do better than that. Blizzard's really good about that. They don't really do that very much. Working on this bottom divider line border, it really helps to add something like that, because if the texture is just hanging out there without something bordering it, it really looks I don't know, this bad, sort of amateur, I guess. I don't know what the right word is, but having a border on things like this rock texture really helps. I think just with the eye, we're just used to seeing that in life. Everything has a bezel or something around the outside of it that sort of defines its position. And so that's what we're working on here. It also, because those borders are meant to look a little bit ragged, it adds a nice bit of imperfection to a little bit of imperfection to the border itself. So just messing around with the hue, seeing if we want, or maybe we don't want, any red-ish glow to mirror that health globe area. And we want to, it's just a balance of where you want the eye to be drawn. And the most important thing, at least with the interface, aside from the gameplay itself, is for the player to be able to see their health and mana. I think that's primary. So you don't want to do anything that draws your attention too far away from that. And maybe like skill icons and whatever else we end up wanting to put there. But so when we're talking about colors on the bottom left and bottom right, and whether or not we want a little red or a little blue, I think it sounds good, but in reality, it really competes for your attention with the globe itself. So we want to be it's not that we don't want to do it at all, but we want to be a little bit judicious about it. I'm just trying to find the right kind of way to handle that top border. Not really, it's just not feeling it. Again, I think this is another struggle stream in continuation from the last one, but we do come out of it. we certainly do. Just moving things around, trying to spark an idea. I think we do end up moving forward here pretty soon with something that starts to look good. But it's just, when in doubt, I just start showing layers to see, like, a lot of times you'll just do something and you'll just show a layer and it's like, oh, it'll spark an idea, or just something will look good that will lead you down a path. And so that's sort of what I'm doing here. And grasping at straws a little bit, but it does eventually work out if you just keep at it. And I think doing this only for an hour a day is super helpful. Obviously, if it was my job, I would do it for longer, and that'd be fine. I'd just take breaks. But it's really easy to get fatigued by this kind of stuff and start to get lazy. One thing I'm already getting a little bit lazy about, and people should call me out on this, is working only with the assets that I already have in there. And for some reason, like, it's super easy to just get tunnel vision or locked into what you already have in the document, and just getting outside of that, bringing in some new textures, some new, like, we could bring in some new Gothic ornamentation, new angel and demon stuff. Just being willing to do that is really an asset, but it's hard, and taking long breaks really helps. And there may be a stream here and there where it's just like, we're gonna go off on an adventure we're gonna venture out and find some new assets. I think that would be a good way to do it, actually, because it's hard to combine, like, designing with like developing the assets that you design with. So there may be a time when we just want to take a stream and do that. All right, so now we're getting somewhere. This really sparked. I really still like the way that looks, and the way that rock provides an edge to that side of the design. And it was nice to finally get some progress made there. I don't even think we end up, I'm not sure this ends up being used where the design is now, but again, it could be something we just turn on later and it's like, oh, right, this fits, let's use that. Remember that? Let's use that. So it's good to do, even if we don't, even if we sort of iterate over it. And we do, because we have to fit skill icons in here. And so, this border is not going to be, it's going to be tough to do that with this type of, well, the bar ends and there's no skill icon, so we need to fit that skill icon in there somewhere. So we do iterate over this, but that's all right. I think only to an extent, though. This looks familiar to me. I think I am keeping some of that in the current design, but it's really nice how that texture is coming up, out, and then fading away. I'm just working on how we how the sort of 3 layers of that rock work, and what parts of that underlying image to keep and not keep. I'm wondering, like, okay, do we keep that 3rd layer? I think I end up not, or maybe I end up keeping it. I don't remember, but that's what I was messing around with there. And so now what we thought we liked more, the right-hand side, has fallen behind where the left-hand side is. So again, we iterate over that, and we bring the right-hand side up to where the left-hand side is. And it's just doing, and that's basically how this whole process will work. The whole design will be that way. And not one thing will be perfect, and certainly isn't yet. It's sort of, the whole thing is sort of being worked on all the time, even if you're only working really on one part of it at any given time, because what you're doing is giving yourself ammunition to improve other parts of it. So I don't want to make it symmetrical, so I'm trying to see, like, how do we replicate that effect on the right hand side but not make it look symmetrical, like we just copied and pasted it, not make it look too it's like lazy. It's not bad. I think it's it's maybe too asymmetrical. It's a bit distracting to see the bar broken differently on either side. It's kind of cool. Like, I like it, but I don't know if it's. I think we may be straying too far with that. So we want something that has a similar shape, and sort of just struggling to find that similar shape. And I think this is eventually why we do move away from this, because I just couldn't figure out a way to make the right-hand side look different, but also enough like the left. But we made good progress here. I think, this is the point where we got out of the hole, so to speak, and we're again making progress toward maybe not even a finished product, but something where we can move on to the next thing after the bar. But we're definitely not there yet. Oh, someone followed me there, and my animation was behind my camera. All right, so we're done. Thanks so much for watching. Again, I'm really enjoying the comments from the community, and we're just gonna keep hammering away at this a little bit every day, and we're just gonna keep doing it while it's fun. And so far, it's a great time. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.